just buy the right part. Oh my god. So here's what happened. Okay, there's a weird noise when I accelerate. Welcome to the part 2 of the JZX manual swap series. I have just test driven the car. If you want to know how the test drive went, stick around to find out. So in the first episode we dropped the automatic transmission and replaced with the R154 manual transmission along with the OEM clutch with an ACT street disc. And the ultimate goal for this car is to make it a drift car. And also last time we made the wiring setup for the manual transmission, and that was about the first episode. In this episode we will sort out everything else around the transmission in order to get power to the rear wheels. And yeah, let's get to work. This episode we're starting off with the bolts for the clutch. I will show you how it happens. And yeah, let's go. So here's our clutch kit. It should move towards the flywheel. It might need a little wiggle to go in. And we spin it until we have all 6 bolts in there. Well, that was not as funny as I remembered. So now we have to tighten these to a spec, which is from Toyota. It's 14 foot-pounds, but it's somewhere around 14 to 20 foot-pounds. These should be tightened in a star pattern, but I'm not sure if we're able to do that. Okay, that's done. So I will mark it once it is tightened. And now the rest 5. Alright, that is all 6 bolts torqued to spec. Whew, that was really something. I remember this being a lot funnier thing to do, but I guess it's funnier when you have a lift. But yeah, that's how you do the pressure plate. And I must admit that this is just genius because you can actually see inside the bell housing. So if you have an issue with the clutch, you can check it before you take it down. And then after everything is done, you mount this cover on top. I made these myself back in the day. They're not perfect, but they get the job done. And the fork we have here. I think I'll clean this up before installing. So the pin comes off. First you take this off and then just slide it out. I have some leftover from the clutch. This will withstand a lot of heat, so it suits our use. Slide it back in. The locking washer back in. And then remember to lubricate these two, because they're gonna be against the bearing. That's metal against metal, so you need to grease it well. Let's put this fork in the car. I was a little wrong. It doesn't go against the bearing. It goes against the housing of the bearing. You just simply slide it in there, and that's in there with hopes and dreams. Here comes the slave cylinder. Still have some fluid in there. Here is the bracket for the clutch line. We're gonna put it under this bolt. We should be able to slide this pin. There we go. And now the amazing cover plate. There it is. You probably noticed that my slave cylinder is actually cracked from here, but it has worked just fine before. I don't think it's gonna be an issue. So next thing is the master cylinder. I already made this clutch line that connects from the master cylinder to the slave cylinder. So let's see. In the automatic models, you do have the hole ready for your master cylinder. There you go. This part of the carpet, you might have to cut this from here or here, I don't remember. And with the master cylinder, I really thought that I was making a great deal. You see, looks good. It even has the like tilted holes. I mean, it's the other way around. I mean, yeah, it was cheap. But even if the flange was in a correct position, so as you can see here, I put this in place. Fluid tank hits the brake lines. So even if the flange was correct, we could not use this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make an adapter which brings this a little bit further from the firewall and changes the flange position. So that could work, I hope. Okay, I bought some spacer sleeves, so these will come something sort like this, so that the master cylinder comes out. Here is some steel I found. These will come something like this, and here's my template for the original. Okay, I ran out of battery, so let's swap the brake pedal, which shouldn't be too hard. Okay. And there's this spring you have to take off, and the pin that connects the pedal to the cylinder. Okay. There we go. And now I should be able to remove the bolt. There it comes. And now it's the same thing, but in reverse. Okay, here you can see everything back in their places. So I have two automatic brake pedals. This has been cut from an automatic brake pedal. Okay, our battery is charged. I think that's very good. Okay, so I have a new plan. So as this is so thick, I thought maybe I should use a lower spacer. Only this is not enough, but this is so thick that it brings the master cylinder so far away. It might need some good reinforcements to withstand the power of my foot, of course, not the power of the car. So I left some space here so we can in the future weld these. I was afraid this wouldn't fit, but it goes right in there. Amazing. It seems that we still have to grind some material away from this side because it's very close to the brake booster. Otherwise, seems to be working. Back to the workbench. Okay, so while the paint is drying, I thought maybe we should install the front piece of the exhaust, and not to forget this cover piece for the transmission. The front pipe is finally in there. That was not too bad after all. I took a smaller ratchet, and that turned out to be much better solution. You need a few extensions and this thing to access the bolts. Finally, there was something valuable. I saw this on TikTok. If you have a loose angle thing, just put an O-ring in between and it's much better. You see, it stays like this. You learn something every day. Okay, so there's one more thing to get power to the back wheels, and that is the drive shaft. Now this drive shaft is from the automatic model, and the automatic transmission is a little bit longer than the manual transmission. So this has to be 50 millimeters longer. I could buy a manual drive shaft, but it's very expensive. I have two of these, so I might as well try to extend this. And YouTube is a good friend of mine, and it showed me that you can do this on your own. So goes without saying, I've never done this before, but This is a very short one, so I don't think that there will be any complications with this. I at least hope there won't be any complications. Let's go and try to extend the drive shaft. So the plan with the drive shaft is to cut it probably from the middle, and I have this BMW drive shaft laying around. So these are both the same diameter. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut a piece out of this, which will be sliced from the middle, and it will go inside this. So in that way we can make this longer. I will show you the process so you'll understand what I'm trying to talk about in here. I'm gonna cut this one first, and I have this pipe cutter which I will be using. So let's see how it works. Make sure to check the weights first, because I just cut over a weight. That is a very nice and clean cut. It might even be straight. I don't know. Well, anyway, we are extending this, so it doesn't matter. Here it is. Now I'm gonna clean all the burr, or what it's called. And then I'm going to remove all the paint from this. Okay, now it's time for the scary part, which is cutting this drive shaft. I'm really worried that I will mess this up, but literally what could go wrong with this? And I still have my spare original drive shaft here, but something's just telling me that this will not work for some reason. By the way, this does not have fork. It only has fork in this side, and here's no fork. So I will have to mark this side to match this side, so that when I cut it, I know which side goes where. It's really sketchy, and I don't know. I still have high hopes for this. It's worth the shot. I mean, this modification will cost me nothing if it works. I'm not going to use the pipe cutter. I'm just going to mark where I need to cut it. I will have to cut this with the angle grinder, because as you can see from our cutted pipe, it bends the pipe just a little bit. That's something that I don't want for this driveline. It doesn't have to be exactly straight, because we're gonna extend it. I don't know if you understood anything I just said, but just look what I'm doing. There we have our straight line. I don't have a white marker here, so we're gonna use tape this time. This feels so wrong. The drive shaft has been cut. Oh my god. And there's cardboard in there. Apparently it's for sound dampening or something like that. What are we gonna do now is we're gonna take all this material from here, so that there's nothing blocking the way of that pipe from getting in. I mean, yeah, it's just a piece of metal, but I didn't really feel anything cutting the BMW pipe, because you have BMWs on every corner, so who cares if that's ruined. But this is for a Chaser, so you don't have much these laying around. So it hurt a bit cutting this. I know I shouldn't be worrying about it. I'm sure that it will work. And if it doesn't work, I can just send this to someone professional. I don't know why I worry so much. But anyway, let's throw these aside and start working on the extension. There it is, nice and clean. we're gonna have to get this inside this pipe. So how are we gonna get it in there? I will show you. Okay, I don't know if this is enough. Okay, that's not enough. Well, it goes in there, it just needs a little fiddling. I might have cut this a little bit too much. Let's hope that I didn't. So now we have to get rid of all this first here. Can you see that? We should be left with 5 centimeters around there. It might be just a little bit too long. That's the only option. Okay, let's see if we can get the other half in. Okay, there's our mark. It should travel that much. There it is. Now I just have to turn this one a little bit. That looks pretty straight to me. Before any welding, I will try to put this onto the car and see if it's the correct length. Look at that. It's so weird. I thought I would never do anything like this, but here we are, once again doing something new and something scary. It's unbelievable. I really didn't think I would do this. But yeah, let's test it and see if it's the correct length. Sweet Jesus. It actually fits. The bearing is in its place and we have our spline in there. I mean, it's not much of a difference if you think about it, but it's necessary. Now there's only one concern, and that is, will it work? Will it stand? If there's a vibration, we can fix that. But more importantly, will it withstand the power of the car? It makes 200 horsepower at the end of the day. So, I'm kidding. Of course it will. Alright guys, it's the next day. Today we received a package. A clutch pedal. And this clutch pedal is from Avensis. It's a pretty basic car model. It's like Corona or Carina. This is very close to the Chaser clutch pedal. I really hope that this is a direct fit. If it fits, it's a bargain again. Let's go ahead and try it. As I thought, I had to bend the pedal a little bit, but that's the least of my problems. The flange itself is very close to the original, but the upper mount needs a little adjusting. This might even fit with just a little modification. Had to make a hole here. When I remove this, I'm going to move it over here. And here I had to cut a lot of the material because this is so far away. That should be it. These bolts will come here. I'm gonna weld them so that the installation is easier. I'll let this cool down a little bit. Meanwhile, it is time for the drive shaft. I'm going to weld it shut now. But before I weld this, I need to clean the surface around here. The surfaces are clean, and I'm not going to use my welder for this job, so I'm going to go ahead and weld this in another place. Let's go. Alright guys, there it is. Finally welded up. I set up my camera, but it fell down very quickly. I didn't get the welding part to video. So what I did here, I just made some tack welds here and there so that the driveline would not heat too much and warp. I also used an L-shaped steel against the driveline so that we could clamp it to the steel piece. I don't know if it did any help. I hope it did help. Now I just need to grind these all down and paint this with some black paint. Let's do that and throw this into the car. While the drive shaft is drying, we should make the final modifications for the clutch pedal. This needs to be a little bit to the left. It doesn't get better than that. It could be a little bit higher, but I think that's just good enough. Now let's assemble the whole thing along with the master cylinder, the pedal, the master cylinder, and this adapter. Alright, the cylinder and the pedal are finally in their places. With the pedal, there were a lot of things to do. I drilled many holes in there to fit the fork, and I had to extend the fork, obviously, because the cylinder is further away. I cannot tell you this enough, but just buy proper parts for your car. Don't save money on stupid things like this. This has taken me so long to make. Lesson learned, don't save money on parts. Just buy the right part and you'll thank yourself. Time for the clutch line, and we can start bleeding the clutch. Alright, here's our clutch line. It goes nicely from the original brackets. And here is our clutch hose, which it connects to. This needs to be attached somehow. Let's hope that there are not any leaks. So the thread's caving. I don't know what I did wrong. This fitting should be exactly the right. So here's what happened. The fitting took some of the threads of the master cylinder. I need to make a taper in there and change the fitting. Let's hope that it fixes our problem. Otherwise we need a new master cylinder. And meanwhile, I'm draining the oil so that we can put new fresh oil in there when we go to the test drive. We are so close of the first test drive, and now this happens. But what can you do? Alright, so I'm back from the store. And here is our new clutch line. Turned out that the fitting was wrong. So let's try this again and see if we can get pressure to the clutch. Clutch has been bled. That was really difficult. I ended up taking the vacuum tool once again, and the clutch feels pretty stiff, I would say. But yeah, I'll put some new oil in the car. Then it's time to install the driveline, and then we can test it. Finally. This has been taking so long. If I had the right parts, this would have been 15 minutes, but I've been here for hours. I almost forgot that the filter needs to be changed also. The filter was in a tight space, so this is the only angle you will get. Alright, final piece of the puzzle. Okay, I'm forgetting one crucial thing, which is the transmission oil. If you remember, when I lifted the transmission, some oil was dripping out of the transmission. It seemed like I spilled a lot of oil, but I just want to make sure. Let's put some of that in there and go for a test. Okay, that was too much. It will drain itself. Let's put the cap in there. Let's put some power to the car. I'll jack up the rear and it's time to find out if any of this works. Why are my brake lights on? There's something. Does it have something to do with the switch? I don't understand. This is really weird. Why are the brake lights on? Alright, I found the problem. This was missing from the brake pedal. So the switch doesn't move anywhere without it. So now that it's in there, the switch works properly and the brake lights are off. A little bit nervous right now. That is always so weird. Alright, the wheels are spinning, every gear is working. I think it's time to put the exhaust back in and go for a test drive. Okay, first impressions. If I have handbrake up, the shifter hits the handbrake. Right, let's go. I mean, there's literally nothing in there. I can see outside. Can you hear that whining noise? It's crazy. I've heard that it's quite normal in these cars, but it's still weird. And it's loud as heck. We're on dirt road now, so I can't drive too fast. Soon we'll be on an asphalt, so then we can test this on high speeds. So far so good. Like a slight vibration, just a slight. And the shifter is so loose. Okay, there's a weird noise when I accelerate. I don't know if it's normal. It's not doing that on higher RPMs, but on low RPM it does that. But yeah, it's working. It's a miracle. So we still have work to do, which are this shifter needs something, I don't know what, but even if you have it on gear, it wobbles this much. You cannot see it, but the clutch pedal is a little bit too close to the footrest, especially now when I have the big boy boots. I constantly hit the footrest when I'm pressing the clutch. I might want to check the clutch assembly bolts. I think the sound is very normal, but seriously, I don't know. If I remember correctly, that's a normal noise, but I just want to check. Yeah, I think that's enough for today. That was a lot of work only because I didn't have the right parts for this car. But the car is now finally manual swapped. And what we learned here was don't buy cheap parts that don't fit and try to make them fit. I spent this day fitting the master cylinder, fitting the clutch pedal, and they're still a little bit not exactly perfect, but it's drivable. Buy the product that fits to your car. But extending the drive shaft, that was something else. Yeah, it took a long time, but that was an actual save on money. It can be from 300 to 500 euros of a drive shaft. Now that it doesn't even vibrate, I think it was a good thing that I made it myself. And to be honest, I'm really proud of myself that I pulled something like that. I didn't think it would work even that well. If I can do it, you can do it too. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something. When you start building a car, you make mistakes. And even if you do normal maintenance for your car, you can make mistakes. That's completely normal. My hand was getting tired, so I had to... Next time with the Chaser, we're gonna have to fix the bumper and we're gonna have to wash this car. Yeah, just reassemble everything else. But yeah, thanks again for watching and I'll see you in the next one.